very warmly welcome back to the channel, whether you are new or a returning subscriber. And today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a requested route from a good friend of mine, Samuel. Now, Samuel has told me that he's actually going to be heading out towards, I forgot where we're flying then, to Dalaman in not too long of time from now. That just made sense, it probably didn't. And what he's doing is going from Leeds to Dalaman with Jet 2. So he's asked me if I could do this flight. As a special request for him as well, because he's a good friend of mine, he's asked if I could get dressed up with my finery here. So we're sort of doing a whole sort of experience flight today, which also involves me doing the passenger announcements, which is going to be fun. But yes, like I say, today we're going from Leeds to Dalaman. Call sign today is Chanix 475. And we should actually be departing at 10 o'clock. Now, as you can see, the time here is actually 0841. So we do have quite a lot of time to spare. But still, if we go early, we'll go early. I should also point out as well, we're using the new ORBX Leeds Bradford scenery for P3DV4. I'm also currently doing a review for it for flightsim.com as well. So I'll be letting people know on the various social media outlets as to when that is available. So it looks like the catering is done. So you know what? Let's get straight on with it. Now, as you've probably already seen, I've already done all the safety items. So we've done the fire check. I've gone through a few numerous things. So all that's really left now is to go ahead and get the plane set up. So, how long do we have left for the alignment process? 3 minutes, that's all well and good. Right, so I'll just put my map mode to plan because we are going to need that. I'll have TFC on, airport, data, STA, and I'll leave the weather radar off for now. Need to make sure we're in the hectopascals today. And you know what, we can also ask for some weather as well. Active Sky, what is the weather doing? Well, for us here, 280 at 19, that's quite a... That's actually quite a strong crosswind. I've known worse at Leeds, but still. I should also point out as well, I'm very familiar with Leeds, because I actually worked and studied here for 4 or 5 years. And, and because, obviously, I worked up here for 4 or 5 years, I got so attached to it, I kind of called Leeds Bradford my second home, really. I'm a bit sad like that. But yeah, I know the airport really, really well, and I'm also aware of its infamous crosswinds. Right, so, light check. Yep, I don't see a problem with the lights. That's all good. Technically, we don't need to do stuff on the co-pilot side, but yeah, I'm going to do anyway. And I don't know why the speed brakes are out. We'll just put those back in. Right, so, what can we be getting on with? Well, we can finish the preparations with the overhead. Fuel pumps I'm going to leave off for now because I don't want to be starting up the APU just yet. Now for some odd reason this doesn't work, not a problem. We'll need to turn on the window heat. As you can probably see, the windows, they're getting a bit steamed up. Now that's quite normal, that obviously comes from, like I say, the pilot's breathing in the cockpit. So that's why we need some window heat on. The probe heat's working fine, we'll leave that off. Just want to make sure the anti-icing valves are working fine. Yeah, that's fine. Hydraulics, I'm not going to touch that. Flight data recorder, we'll turn that over to on because we are going to be testing the system. Or pretty much put it into test mode. Right, so that's good. Lights, I've got set up how I want them. Speed check. Stall, yep. I'm not too sure if Jet 2 turned their packs on. But for us, we can do, why not? We'll get the cabin nice and comfortable. And also one of the things that I'm just having to research now is the landing altitude at Dalaman. I'm pretty sure it's at sea level, but you always want to triple check. There's no, you don't want to make, like I say, there's no margin for error when you're mucking about with the pressurization. But for us today, we are flying up to 35,000 feet. I should say we're cruising at 35,000 feet even. But to begin with, I'm going to have to check our performance calculations. We'll may start off at 320 and step climb to 350 a little bit later on. Right, the igniters, that goes over to the right system. And I think that's us pretty much done. So we can go ahead and get the FMC prepped. Okay, actually we can go ahead and put in our fuel because I've not yet done that, so that's important. Okay, so for us in regards to fuel, we're taking 30709. Super. Payload, well, we're full up today. 184, and what we like for the cargo. Cargo today is 6.4, so we could do easily 3.2 in each hold. Just researching Lima Tango Bravo Sierra. Obviously, I'm using my laptop as sort of like an EFB. Technically, I could use the EFB on the on this plane, but I keep forgetting about it. And plus, Navigraph doesn't seem to want to go on. Right, so we'll just triple check our weights here. Now, for us, we've got a planned takeoff weight today of 168.5. We've actually got 164.9. We may have to do short field takeoff procedures. Depending on our weight, we'll decide that a bit later on when I'm making the various takeoff calculations. And we have a 0 fuel weight 1342. Well, we planned for the maximum at 138.3, so we're all very good there. And just let's have a look. Airport information for Dalaman is 20 feet, so we can happily use sea level with no real issue there. Right, let's go ahead and we'll get our FMC prepped. So, 737-800, Bravo Whiskey, yep, confirm the time with the captain's clock. 0846, that is super. Make sure it's a 26k version, it is, that refers to how much thrust we can get out of the engines, which is correct. So, we're at Echo Golf November Mike, stand number 10. Now, because I have self-parked, there is going to be a slight discrepancy between both GPSs. I'll be fine though. You see the screens come up. Now the route. For us, Echo Golf... That's wrong. So I used to fly out of Manchester. Right, so for us, Echo Golf November Mike, heading out towards Lima Tango Bravo Sierra. Flight number today is Chanex 475. It's probably probably what will happen with a real world flight is that will have something like Chanex 4 Bravo Sierra, something like that. But unfortunately, I'm struggling to find the actual call sign. So, what's the wind doing? I don't think we'll have too many problems if we wanted to go from 3-2. 2-1. Yeah, we're better off from 3-2. I'm going to be taking the Lamex 2 Whiskey departure. Now, I have actually got a save company route. I'm not too sure if it has updated, though, because we've had to update the route. But I'll load it up and I'll see where I get. And I've actually forgotten how to actually load it up. Flight plan request, is that it? Right, this might be it here. So we'll just let that load up. And we'll just triple check a few things, make sure it is the same route, because it can vary. And is it not loading up? Why is it not loading up? Ah, there we go. Route uplink ready. So can we load that up, please? Well, this is taking its time, isn't it? Right, let's have a look. So, for us, it's given us a Lamex departure. We can go straight ahead and put in Lamex 2 Whiskey from runway 32 here. I'll put in my call sign again because I will forget. 475, like so. Okay, so for us, it's given us Lamex to Lato, DCT to Colgi, Magum, Lurid, to Mitmo, Vakeb, Uniform Lima 603 to Otla, Rugas, Indian Mike Romeo, Uniform November 127 to Kekik, and then it's Kekik 1 Yankee landing on runway 19er. So that's fine. So we'll load that up with no problems whatsoever. I'll just do a quick check, make sure everything is loading as it should be. So Roag, yep. Anvil, yep. Dolas, yep. Anito, I think that's how you say it. Dibble, yep. Bukit, yep. Lamso, Degom, Kumik, Big Sue, Teska, Bombay, Kosek, Cindy, Supix, Ratim, Tagut, Dinku, Bembo, Ankui, Lupov, Renlo, Besney, Otlu, Abida, Rotax, Unkek, Latlo. I was going to say, we've not even got through most of this yet. Look at that, there's 12 pages. That's insane. Kagli, Magem, Lurid, Mito. Yep, that's fine. Vakeb, Otler, Rugas, Foxtrot Sierra Kilo. Yep. Odiko. Yep. Peren, Lima Tango, Lima Mike Oscar even, Urso, Rixo, India Mike Romeo, Ulcan, Tusonen and Kekik. Yeah, that's totally fine. Right, so that's activated in. I'll just put in my fix information like so. So we have Echo Golf November Mike. Now, just in case we do need to come back, I will put standard barometrics in. So, minimums in, I should say, of 200 feet above, or 200 feet radio in this instance. I don't think they actually use that at Leeds. I will triple check. I think they do need to be slightly higher, but the possibility of us returning is very slight, because given our current weight, I'd actually prefer to go to Manchester, and radio 200 is applicable at Manchester. Alright, so, happy with that, we'll go to performance, and I tell you what we can do as well, we can get boarding. I was going to say, we're prepping the aircraft, and, that's wrong, and, say we're missing the passengers, and that also reminds me as well, I'll get the APU started up as well, so that way we can get the cabin nicely air conditioned. And it's not wanting to start for me. Or maybe I'm just too impatient. Now, we should observe a low pressure oil light. That should come on shortly. And it'd be helpful if I actually turned on one of the fuel pumps. Now, we have got centre tank fuel today, so I'll turn on the... I think it's the... I think it's that Pacific pump you turn on. I always do forget. I've probably got it the wrong way round. If we don't have any centre tank fuel, what I tend to do is I'll turn on this pump here. If we have got centre tank fuel, I will turn this one. It works something like that. But still, even the APU should work anyway, even if you had no fuel pumps on, because it would just suction feed. But still, having a fuel pump on would help out reducing the wear and tear. And another thing as well, as you can see, the EGT comes just below 4, and immediately we have the APU generators available. Usually that takes about a minute or so on the 737s. But let's have a look. Yeah, we're all good there. And we can get rid of the ground power as well. So we'll ask the ground crew to get rid of that shortly. Right, reserves. Today we have reserve of 7.7. Cost index, I'm not too sure what it is for Chanex. Chanex, Jet 2 even. That's obviously the call sign, just in case you wasn't aware for Jet 2, it's Chanex. We'll just put in 15 and we'll see where we get. For us, yep, we'll put 350 today. And we might be able to accept that straight away. Cruise wins, and not a problem. For us, cruise wins at 350 are, when I can find it, 295 at 70. Like so. And the outside air temperature today is minus 51. Transition altitude 5,000 feet, that will be totally fine. Right, now one of the things I'm going to do now, because I will end up forgetting, is I'm going to go over to map mode. Make sure that is on fine. Airport STA is, yeah, TCAS is on, perfectly fine. We'll go over to route data. And we can also request our winds here as well, which is a very, very nice feature. However, I'm going to put in... actually, you know what? Yeah, let's request them. Now, it's weird how this aircraft actually works, because you do actually have an average wind, which I was always told on the 737. You need to come, find your top of descent point and put in the average winds. As you see here, it's gone to 295.70. And we'll load that up. Let's just say our top of climb point is a NITO. I will just triple check that. Then what I was told to do, you need to put in your average winds here and pretty much override your top of climb winds. I find that very confusing. But still, average cruise winds today, 274 at 52. Top of climb point is... it's pretty much a NITO. So... so we need to put 274 at 52 in a NITO. Right, that'll do. Right, M1 limitations. This is where we can do some calculations. Right, so we'll turn on our EFB. We'll head on over to performance. Airport search. Echo, Golf, November, Mike. Search ident. Runway departure, runway 32, condition is dry, the surface wind 283 at 19, show keyboard, 283 at 19. Outside air temperature today is 4. And I am actually going to triple check the weather now because we may need to have the anti-icing on for takeoff. Let's just have a look. Let's see, everyone's boarding there. Few at 2,000. Oh, we'll be fine then. I mean, what I'll probably do is once we get airborne, we'll perform the clean-up procedures, and then at which point I will put the bleeds back on, and we'll I might just turn on the anti-icing. Right, the QNAJ 999er. Takeoff weight today, well, we'll have to calculate that in a second. Thrust rating optimum, flap config optimum, air conditioning. We'll leave that on with the anti-icing off just to see where we get, but I think it's going to come back saying that it's not able to do it, so we may have to make some adjustments. Now, for us, what's our actual current weight? Well, our current weight at the moment is 1648. We've got a planned taxi fuel of 500, so 5, 6, 7, 8, so 1643. 164,300, and the CG is 22.5. 22.5. Calculates. Yep, no valid assumed temperature found for the pressurized conditions, even though it's just come up here with what we need to do. So it's saying that we need to use trim 5.5, acceleration height 1500 feet, flaps 5, and it says we should be okay with a toga takeoff. Now, from my experience at Leeds, I'll tell you what I'm actually going to do. I'm actually going to turn the air conditioning to off. We'll actually have the APU do that. And it's saying we need to take off at 94.5, so no derate. Right, okay. But just like I say, to be on the safe side, I'm going to do a bleed up. 94.5? Right, well, it's not giving us assumed temperature, is it? Right, well, in which case, I'm just going to use full takeoff. We'll use flaps 5, but we'll go, like I say, we'll keep the APU on, we'll turn the engine bleeds off. And so on and so forth. Alright, we'll set the trim up. Looking for 5.5 units. Like so. And the speeds, 142, 148. And that's actually quite high speeds. 148 and 158. Right, super. Climb 350, standard speed reduction in the UK, 250 below 100. Totally fine. ACARS, yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll get that set up. Not too sure if Jet2 do have a system like this, though. Okay, so standard time of arrival. What time do we look to get in? Let's have a look. According to our documents, we should be getting in about... what's the current time? And I'm probably going to get this wrong. 13:40 something. Not in database. Estimated time of departure. Well, we could be out of here within by at least 9:15. That is LS. It's LS for Jet 2. Origin STA. Flight time today should actually take 3 hours 43 minutes. So it will probably be even before that. So 9, 10, 11, 12. So it should actually be about 12:50 actually we should be getting in, round about that. Estimated time, so we'll just put 3 hours 40 minutes in. Origin STA, I'm just going to put a random value in that. Oh, surprisingly, I don't actually know what that means. Fuel today, 36. And how much fuel do we need? We actually need 30... it's saying we've got 36 there. It's actually saying we've got 37 there. We actually need 37. And of course, this is the good thing about an A-car system, because it's going to tell you what time we push back from, what time we get in. I don't think low-cost operators have this system installed, because A, it costs a lot when the pilots can just write a lot of this stuff down. But then when you're doing single pilot operations, it can be a big lifesaver. Right, you want to make sure that is active. That's fine. That's us pretty much nearly good to go. Right, so we'll just do a GPWS check, and we'll need to perform a few checklists. Now, whilst that's doing that, I'm just going to check our SIGMETs.
Pull up. Wind shear. Wind shear. Wind shear. Terrain. Terrain. Pull up.
And like I say, I will need to be letting our passengers know what's going to be going off, so we'll have a word with them shortly. Now let's have a look at the SIGMETs. Now for us, we expect turbulence up to flight level 290 when departing Leeds, so we'll have to keep the seatbelts on just a tad longer. That system will not affect us. And pretty much our route today is going to be taken as via Thessaloniki. We have indications that there is isolated embryonic cumulonimbus cloud starting at 300 to presumed surface level. So pretty much on the descent we have a lot of CB. Right, and it's okay. So we'll go ahead and let our passengers know about that. 270, that'll be not effective for us. 170 moving in. Alright, we're pretty much nearly ready to go here, so we can do the pre-flight checklist. So, IRSs. They are set, yaw damper, that is set, emergency exits, they're on, seatbelts, they're on, oxygen, check 100%, window heat on, nav lights on, fire check, complete, pressurization, set. So that's the pre-flight checklist complete. Right, we will need to get set up for start momentarily, but just before I do that, I'll get the autopilot set up. So we'll arm the auto throttle, course selectors, I think I am going to need those. So just in case when we are departing Leeds we do have an issue, we may need to use, well, we may need to track waypoints using a VOR, so we'll get those set up as a backup. And for us we'll need to tune the Gamston radio on 112.8, or the Gamston VOR even. 112.8, is it picking it up? No, I don't think it would yet. And Pole Hill on 112.1. Okay, now from Pole Hill, which is obviously set up on the co-pilot side, we need to intercept a radial of 118. That's going to take us out towards waypoint Lamix, and there is actually a radial that can be taken from Gamston, which is 081. So we'll just get that set up like so. Speed, that will go in as 158. Heading, we'll put to runway heading 320. And we've got no ATC online today, so we have an unrestricted climb up to flight level 350. Right, we'll have LNAV, and we'll have, alright, it's only VNAV. Alright, not a problem. We'll obviously sort that out once we get in the air. And we're all pretty much finished here. Just a few more things I have to do before we can get going. One of them is I'm going to set up the radios. So 1228 will monitor that.
TCAS test pass.
Obviously it's great that you can now talk on Unicom. Right, so TCAS check is passed. Flight deck door closed and locked. Right, let's have a word with the passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a very good morning to you and a very welcome on board this Jet 2 flight. My name is the Blaine Guy, and I'd like to wish you a very warm welcome aboard. Anyway, on the flight deck today is our first officer, whose name I have yet to find out. This is also the same for the cabin crew in the back. Not too aware of the senior cabin crew whose member's name. Neither am I aware of the 3 other cabin crew in the back that's going to be taking care of you today. I should just point out that I'm rubbish with names, that's why I'm not saying it. This is so unprofessional. Just a couple points of information before we look to depart. We are looking for an early departure today. Obviously, we're not due out until 10 o'clock, but with all you fabulous passengers being so helpful to us and boarding very early, and with having no passengers missing, this does mean we can have an early departure for us out of Leeds today. What our route's going to involve us doing today is we'll be taking off to the north here at Leeds. And after doing that, we'll make a sharp 180-degree turn heading out towards Wakefield, and then northeast of Sheffield, just south of Doncaster. Then out towards Lincoln, where we'll then head out towards Skegness, then flying north of Cromer, then before heading out towards the North Sea, out towards Amsterdam, at which point we'll then start to head over into Germany, just flying east of Frankfurt, east of Stuttgart, just slightly east of Munich into Austria, flying west of Vienna, and then heading out towards Slovakia, then out towards Zagreb. Then our route will take us through Bosnia and Herzegovina, then through Montenegro, Kosovo, North Macedonia, before then heading out towards Greece, where we'll overfly Thessaloniki, and then we'll pretty much be heading on a straight south-southeasterly heading out towards Dalaman. Flight time today should be approximately 3 hours 40 minutes to cover the 1,600 nautical mile distance, flying at an altitude of 35,000 feet. Weather en route today is not too bad. It's a little bit bumpy here at Leeds, but this is quite common, so don't be alarmed if we are shaked a little bit once we are in the air. We've also got some reports of some turbulence around the Leeds area, so it could get a bit bumpy up to 29,000 feet, so please don't be alarmed if we do leave the seatbelts on for just a little bit longer. And then also we do have some indications that there is some thunderstorms near Turkey, so once we begin our descent we also may expect some chop as well, so this may be another reason why we may turn on the seatbelt signs a little bit early. But the current weather in Dalaman at the moment is very nice, currently about 18 degrees, slightly cloudy, slightly windy, but other than that it looks to be pretty much a good flight. In preparation for departure, can I ask you to please now ensure that you are seated with your seatbelt securely fastened, tray tables fully folded away, and the seats in the right position for departure. I'll now hand you over to camera crew, give some more information about how to prepare for departure, so can I ask you please to pay full attention. But in the meantime, I invite you now to please sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight, and I myself, the first officer, will talk to you once we're in the air. Thank you very much. Like a pro. Right, doors, are they closed? Yes, they are. Right, let's get ready to fly. Pack scudder off. Fuel pumps, go to on. I need to get rid of the GPU, so I'll do that on the do that on our second FMC. So FS actions, services, and release the ground power. Right, ground power is released. Right, and I don't know why, but that should not be coming up. I should not be able to look at my PFD. And there's a good reason for that, and that is because on the this specific type of plane, by having that on, I'm pretty sure it can cause problems with the aircraft in that it causes it to freeze and stuff like that. So I'm actually going to make sure that that is turned off. And I have forgotten where you go for it. So is it options, simulation, barrel minimums? Yep, use last engine oil. Set P3D, lock course, realistic AP engagement. High furnace. I'm probably going to end up missing this. Disable Captain PDF pop-up. Yes. Right. Right, that's all good. Right, so we'll have the before start checklist. So, flight deck door, closed and locked. Fuel pumps, they're running. Beacon lights, yeah, we'll flick those two on. And we'll ask for the pushback and start. Yes, we'd like to push back and start. Departing 3-2 today, we'll be going off towards the left. So we'll put those on. The APU is running with the packs off, the hydraulics are set, and the briefings are complete. Right, let's get ready to fly. I should also point out as well that I've got an absolutely annoying amount of glare from the sun. I'm actually just going to quickly close my blinds because I can't see a thing.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Thank you very much, as am I. Right, this is where the fun begins.
Locking gear.
Do you know, I've never known such a tug type to be used in England, and what this tug type does, it'll lift you off the ground. They definitely don't use this at Leeds. Just normal pushback with a tow bar at Leeds. Right, can we go left, please? Oh, the wheel chock's still in. Okay, well, we can get rid of those. And the brakes are still set, the pressure's good. And the cargo doors are still open. No problem, we can close those. Yep, lights are confirmed out. Ready for start.
Completed. Bypass pin inserted. Release parking brakes.
Brakes released.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Turning 2. In timing. Okay, so the M1's coming up. So is the N2. Looking for 24% N2 in the specified time frame. Yep, super. Fuel comes on. There we go. We have ignition, EGT's coming up. We have fuel flow indications, oil pressure's coming up. M1 is rising, N2 is rising. And usually what happens with the previous rendition of the lead scenery that I used from UK 2000, GSX always seemed to put me in the grass. But not today.
Set parking brakes.
Right, parking brake set.
Waiting your
I've not turned on my centre tank pumps, we'll do that now. Is everything equal? No, stuff's not equal. So I'll just put the crossfeed on, just to help us equal out the fuel load here. That's a good start on number 2 engine. We'll go ahead and we'll start number 1. We'll just complete a few items with that. So, generator, that comes to on. Right side hydraulics, they'll come to on. We'll turn the right pack on, and I'll also turn the Pro B on as well. Ground, we'll just pretend that they've given us the clearance to pressurise. So we'll get our flaps down, and I'll do a full cycle on those. Right, fuel on. Find that this bit of the flight can be quite tricky when you're on your own. And you know what, that's fine, you can disconnect. Right, M1's coming up, EGT's coming up, we have fuel flow indications. All temps coming up with the oil pressure, and the oil quantity's gone down, which it should be. And the vibrations are minimal.
Unlocking gear.
Super. On the brakes, go to reject a takeoff option. Super.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass
Set flaps
pin
5 for takeoff. 1, 2, 5. And we shall perform a flight control check. So full up, full down, full left, full right, neutral, rudder, full left. Some of the reason the rudder's not working.
Right is clear.
I know what it is. It's because I've not put all my hydraulics on, that's why. That'll be the reason why. Right, well, I'll tell you what, I'll just complete the overhead preparations and then we should do the check. That's what I've done, I've just rushed it. See, look, now we've got the rudder, that's super. And I also do have a problem with the rudder just sort of doing that. So I just want to make sure that that's not doing that. No, it ain't. Oh, just do another cycle through. Yeah, flight controls are fine. I'm happy with that. Right, we'll just do the checklist, make sure I've not missed anything. So, the generators on, probe heat on, hydraulics, they're all on, packs, they are on automatic. Anti-ice, that's not required today. Taxi turns, no, we don't want, no. Actually, yes, we do want the APU, because I said I was going to do an APU bleed off. I'm so used to not doing it, though. Right, order brakes, RTO, check, flight controls, tested, fuel selector, idle, flaps, 5 degrees green, ground equipment. That is clear, MCP, set for takeoff, MFC, that is set and we've got the clearance to go. Right, so I'll just get the APU back on, because I'm an idiot and I turned it off, but I'm so used to turning it off. Right, so we've got slightly a bit more fuel in the right tank. So I'll just turn off the left fuel pumps and hopefully it should start draining out of that one. But then what's likely is going to happen is it's just going to drain out the centre tank fuel first. So I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll just leave the pumps on as normal because what's just going to happen is the both engines are just going to feed from the centre tank. And I'll sort it out once I'm in the air just a bit later. And for some odd reason the reverse has come out. And that's actually because I've actually got a new assignment on my throttle for the reverse, but it only appears to work on the 737, so I'll just leave it at a weird angle. Right, no problem though. It's about right then that could have been Leeds. So I'll just triple check, make sure there's nothing on VATtastic. Just wait for the APU to come back online, which it has. Right, super. Now, we're not going to put the APU on the bus, because we've got the generators doing that fine. What I am going to do is I'm going to turn off the bleeds. In which case, we can still leave the packs on, and that'll help us provide air conditioning. It's not going to be as effective as the engines, the engine bleeder, but it's still going to be helpful, and it's going to increase our performance as well. Right, so let's get rolling. Brakes off, here we go. Right, I don't believe that call was for Leeds. I've not really heard anything. Well, good thing I did check this because Scottish is online. Now, usually when you do depart Leeds, you do contact Scottish, but I do believe VATSIM procedures do differ slightly. But either way, if we need to contact them, they'll let us know. Right, so just triple check a few things. Bleed is off. Make sure that goes over to continuous. Super. And I can restart my clock as well. Because I was using that for the engine timings, but I wasn't paying too much attention to that. Because there's lots of other things that do require my attention. Okay, so with no traffic coming in, I will get things prepped. So, Leeds Bradford traffic, Chanix 475, heavy 737, entering runway 14 for backtrack 432, we'll port clear. Right, TCAS comes to on, we'll also get our weather radar on, so we'll go auto, WT, put the weather radar on, and we'll just do a quick test.
Monitor radar display. Go around. Wind shear ahead.
Well, we'll turn on our landing lights. Taxi lights come off. Wing, wheel well. Yep. That's weather radar check complete. Nothing left. Can't see anything right. Super. Okay, so I'll just make sure my FMC is back on the takeoff page, which it is. And we can have the before takeoff checklist. So, cabin crew. Cabin crew take seats for takeoff, cabin crew seats for takeoff, please. Some airlines have a certain chime system, so if you, I don't know, like, do that so many times, I think they'll get seated. I'm not too sure how that works. But it doesn't matter, we can just call them up and ask them to be seated. Right, recall. It's checked. Speed brakes, they're retracted. Trim. Set 5, transponder, that is ONN, or ON even. V-speeds, they are set. We have V1 142, rotation of VR 148, and the V2 is 158. Altimeter, set 999, 5000, go to standard. Landing and strobes, they're on. That's before TEV checklist complete. Right, let's go to Dalaman. We'll start the clock. Just put a bit more power on to get lined up, which we are. Sent out power. Stabilized. Toga. Power set, airspeed alive. Really dancing on the rudders today. 100 knots cross checked.
V1. Rotate. V2.
That's positive climb. Gear up, please. Right, the autopilot's going mental. Going straight to level change. Right, we need LNAV and VNAV, please. Thank you very much. So that is LNAV, VNAV speed. Takeoff November Mike traffic, Chanix 475 is airborne from Leeds, runways clear. Right, throttle's going back, just my rate of climb. We'll have flaps 1. Really nice to hand fly this plane, I really do enjoy it. One of the things that I hate though about this departure specifically is that sometimes ATC will give you a straight vector to Lamix, which makes this turn even more tricky to try and do, because we've got such a tight angle anyway. I'll just trim her out. See that beautiful scenery. I actually think I've got FTX England on at the moment. I'm not too sure because sometimes I do disable that. Right, flaps up please, and we'll have the after takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist, pressurization, air conditioning, cabin's pressurizing fine. Turn the bleeds back on. APU comes to off. Wheel lights, they're off. Landing gear, they're up and off. Retractable landing lights, not applicable. Flaps are up, auto brakes are off, and altimeters can now go to standard. So that's the checklist complete. And now I need to actually focus on flying the plane itself. See, look, we're slightly off the magenta here. I'm wanting to try and maintain the climb as best I can. I don't want the speed coming up all that much too yet. I'll wait till I'm back on course first. Bit of a... That was quite a big lag spike then. See, there you go. There is Leeds. Yeah, nice. Like I said, I've also just turned on the thermal anti-icing just because we are going to be in and out of cloud. Just turn it on just to be safe. Say that cloud would just pass through then. That's definitely going to have. That's probably going to have icing in it. Right, speed's coming up nicely. And look at that, the plane's already trimmed out very nicely. I really do like how the new trim system on the NGXU is being modelled, because it makes it very easy to hand fly. Like at the moment, I'm not even touching it, and she's doing a good job of just maintaining that attitude. Right, we'll turn back on course here. And we could do with increasing our climb rate. And that's us through flight level 100, so we'll switch off the landing lights and the turn-offs. I'd also put the engines over to flight rating mode. I'll just wait until we're above about 180 before doing so, because I think that way would be then clear of any cloud. Right now, just in case you are unfamiliar, because we're now past through flight level 100, the speed restriction's cancelled, and obviously we can't main at 250 knots the entire flight. So we'll just slowly descend rate down and let that speed come up. That'll also be helpful as well in climbing the plane. The more speed we have, the easier it is to climb. Right, let's have a look at our progress. So we're estimating Lima Tango Bravo Sierra at 12:48. So, yeah, not too bad, and we don't expect to use all the fuel we have either. For us, we have a reserve of 7.7, so we've got about 3 tons extra there that we could potentially use. Obviously, you don't want to slip into the reserve, but it's there just in case you do need it. So we'll look to have some good progress today. I mean, just look at that already. We've got a tailwind there of 34 knots, which is very good. I say recently a plane coming over from America with had a tailwind of over 100 knots, and I think they broke the record between the time it takes to go from the continent of America to Europe, something like that. I think it was almost supersonic, if anything. Right, so you know what we'll do. Now we'll flick on our autopilot, so left command alpha, let that take control. And we'll just tell you what we can do now. We can switch off the seatbelt signs. And I don't think we're going to run into any more ice. I will keep an eye on it though. So we'll turn those off and put the engines over to flight mode. So we can sit back, relax and enjoy our flight over to Dalaman. let's go down. So we'll have the descent checklist. So landing altitude. Well, like I say, we'll leave that 0. Dalaman is 20 feet above sea level, so we're better off. Recall. Checked. No issues there. Auto brakes. That's going to be set for 1. I'm going to talk you through what I'm going to do for landing very shortly. And the approach and landing preparations. Well, I've completed those. So, we can take it down. What altitude can we take it down to? 2,500. I'll be happy with that. There we go. Got the message to descend. Altitude, intervene. There we go. And you see we're right on profile. Okay, so to discuss with you what we're going to be doing for our landing is we'll be doing the RMP type approach, or RNAV even, for runway 19er. There's some quite strong winds at Dalaman, so we're going to have to keep that in mind. I constantly keep checking the weather out, and already the QNH is changing. It was 1013 about half an hour ago. Now it's 1009. Now we've got a few scattered clouds about. Shouldn't be too much of an issue, but I'll keep an eye on the temperature. And as already I've said previously, we are expecting some isolated Charlie Bravo, cumulonimbus once we get below 30,000 feet. So I'm going to turn on the seatbelt sign shortly and we'll get the cabin sorted. But the wind at the moment, it's not so much gusting anymore. It appears to be a bit more stable, but still it's slight crosswinds, so it might get a little bit bumpy on final. Right, so this is what we're going to be doing. We'll pretty much follow the RNAV all the way in, and for some odd reason, I'm not too sure as to why, it doesn't appear to be all lined up with the runway that well. Seems very weird. So I tell you what, we might be better off doing. We might be better off doing the localizer. Yeah, look, that looks a lot better, doesn't it? Okay, so does it give us the frequency for the localizer? Yes, it does. Jag required after Atmon, not a problem. Right, so we'll put in the frequency 1901, or the course even. 1901, 1109. Now this is similar how you would enter the ILS. It's pretty much exactly the same how you enter the ILS. The only difference between this and an ILS approach is this doesn't have a glide slope. So the autopilot will be able to fly on the horizontal aspect, but from a vertical aspect we're going to have to follow the VNAV profile. So we'll just pop those in the box. And yeah, we'll do the localizer approach. Altitude do we need to start it at? 4,300 feet. Okay, not a problem. So we'll put 4,300 in, and we're still on profile. Right, super. Now I'm going to talk you through what our landing is going to involve very shortly. I've already got the fix information in. I've already set up the radio. Now the radio is actually set up for the RMP, but more or less likely with the localizer it's probably going to be lower. So I'll just leave it as is, just for that extra margin of safety. Speed's already entered, that's totally fine, and we're pretty much all good to go. Now, speed restriction 230 at Atmon, that's obviously why we're going to have to start slowing down. And we'll have a new QNH of 1009. Right, so, seatbelt signs, they'll come to on. I don't know why I always click the attendant button. I suppose I like the sound rather than just the normal Bing sound. I don't know why. It's just me. Right. Cam crew, please spare the cabin for landing, please. Cam crew, please spare the cabin for landing. Right. Now, obviously, something else we have to take into consideration is I always like to let the cabin crew know when we're 15 minutes out. So, yeah, I'll call it about 10 minutes. In about 10 minutes or so. Oops, I think I've just done something here which I shouldn't have done. No line category 3. Okay, now that would probably be down to how we've aligned the IRSs up, but Yeah, that is weird. I'm going to have to Google that. I've never really had that problem before. Right, so to actually talk about what we're going to do, and it does look like we may enter some cloud. So just to be on the safe side, I will turn on the anti-icing. Right, so just to explain what we're going to do, like I say, we're going for runway 19er. Now, the thing with Dalaman is the runway is very, very long. I say 3,000 feet, 10,000 feet. Did I say 3,000 feet? That's wrong. 3,000 meters, just below 10,000 feet. Now, similar runways like Manchester, they have a similar length, but they also have something called MROP procedures in place, at which point, as soon as you get down, you need to get off the runway. For us, we can't really do that at Dalaman, because if you have a look, there's no real fast turn-offs, or there's no real turn-offs in the middle of the runway, which means from a landing point of view, we've got all that runway to use. And when I've come in here before, I've used runway 01, I've touched down pretty much just around taxiway Charlie here, and using ORBX 1 and idle reverse, I've literally come to a taxi speed, actually around there near the windsock. And I don't want to be spending ages on the runway, so what I'm going to be doing is, like I say, we'll use ORBX 1, minimum idle reverse, and once obviously the speed goes to 60, we'll take manual braking, and I'll look for about 45 knots, and I'll keep that speed up until we're ready to come off, at which point I'll start slowing it down even more. Now obviously the good thing about having a big runway like this is we do have some margin for floating, ballooning, stuff like that. For some people like myself, I like having a bit more runway, as it ensures we can try and get the plane down a little bit smoother. I've got a lot more margins to work with there. I like saying margins today. And this is also a good point to point out as well. As you can see here, this is we're getting these pockets of activity here with the cumulonimbus cloud, and as you can see, it is definitely isolated. So we are going to have to watch out for that. Right, so already we are descending quite rapidly. We're already at 25,000 feet. Wow. And I don't anticipate this taking all too long. Like I say, you're certainly descending quickly. So as you can see here via our planned route, what's going to happen is we'll pretty much come via the north of the airport, and we'll pretty much come through the mountains as well. So this is also why I'm going to turn on some terrain radar as well. Now, I don't think we're going to have any problem with terrain awareness today, not personally, but it's always helpful to have it. Airport, STA, and I'm going to set it up on the co-pilot side. So within a 20-mile sector, the highest point is about 6,000 feet. I'll just extend the range out a bit more, just see if it's going to be a factor. Okay, so it's about 8,000 feet. Alright, so we'll keep that in mind then. The other stuff like the weight of the aircraft that's been entered, it's about 143.5 we're going to be landing at today, which is going to give us a approach speed of 148, so that's obviously the VREF, and I was going to plus 5 to that, so we'll bring her in about 153 knots. See how we are on the approach. I might bring the speed back a little bit further just for a bit of extra control, but considering that this is a localizer approach compared to an ILS, what I may do is I may take the autopilot out a little bit earlier, along with the auto throttle as well. It's certainly nice to fly a plane, and 9 times out of 10 whenever I shoot approach it's on the ILS, so it's quite rare that I actually am doing something different like a localizer approach. And in actual fact as well, I'd say, like I just said, 9 times out of 10 I always do an ILS approach. 1 times out of 10, if it's not an ILS, I can't speak today. 9 times out of 10 whenever I fly approach, it's always an ILS approach on this type of aircraft. When it's not an ILS approach, I would say at least 90% of the time it's an RNAV. So this is actually one of the very few localizer approaches that I've ever really done. So this is certainly going to be interesting. See what we can do as well. We can have a look at the scenery around us as well. Beautiful scenery here. But unfortunately, as you can see, a lot of it is covered by cloud, and also this is just an excuse as well to do a few screenshots. And also, as you can see here as well, we've got a well, it's now a crosswind of 57 knots. That's been quite favourable for us today. We've had quite a strong tailwind. It's remained constant around 70-75 knots today, so that certainly helped us out in performance. Now normally this is where I'd actually turn on the seatbelt signs, but like I say, considering that the SIGMET did actually say that we've got some bad weather starting at 30,000 feet, I thought we should get on a bit early. Gives the cam crew a bit more time to prepare as well for landing. Just rattling on now. Generally it's the stage of the flight that you always want it to hurry up a little bit. Right, now, drag required, not a problem. Okay, so where is Atmon? It's where our decel point is. Now usually what happens with a decel is, in this instance, the plane will actually pitch up to help us reduce a bit more speed, and it does actually calculate that lack of sync rates within our VNAV profile. Now, because I do know, because if you were watching at the start of the video, one of the reasons I'm actually doing this video is for a friend of mine called Sam. He's not very piloty like a few people on my channel and may not understand the terminology, so I'm just going to explain one or two things. Now, obviously, VNAV is essentially our vertical profile, so at the moment we're 18,000, well, in Europe, the way you're meant to say it is flight level 185 because we're on a standard pressure setting. And like I say, we are going into Dalaman, which is about 20 feet, so obviously we're going to have to lose about 18,000 feet. But with that, we've got certain altitude restrictions that we do have to meet. So what we do is we pop that into the computer like so. As you see, we've got various waypoints here. That's our speed, that's our altitude, and that essentially makes a vertical profile for us. And the best way to show you actually something like that is through our vertical situation display. And I can just do it like so. So yep, that pretty much shows us where we actually need to descend. So as you can see, it's pretty much a flight path from the side really, and that can be very, very helpful. Right. So yeah, just to explain one or two things there, so the viewers might not understand what I'm talking about. And obviously LNAV refers to the horizontal aspect, so this line here, which we'll call the magenta. Yeah, again, she's still having a bit of a problem with the speed. That's probably going to come from the fact that we have actually got quite a strong tailwind again. So I'll put the speed brakes out. You can extend them out. Generally on Boeing 737s, you should avoid doing so with your flaps out. However, this is something that I do actually tend to struggle with quite a bit. So sometimes I may have to cheat in that regard. Cam crew, 10 minutes to landing. Cam crew, 10 minutes to landing. And one of the things I did not actually check, which I should have done for Dalaman, is I've not checked our transition level. That's when obviously we go from being on a standard pressure setting to the local pressure setting. I'm pretty sure it's about 11,000, 12,000 feet, but I'll just triple check. 13,000 feet, so that's actually quite high. Once again, I'll just keep triple checking the weather, see if anything has changed. Okay, so the wind is now 150 at 15 gusting 31, so it does appear that there is quite a strong few gusts there, and it's variable as well. So the wind's practically all over the place at the end of the day, so this is why it might be a little bit rough. But the visibility is all the good, we have all the 9s. So this means we should be okay for a visual approach. Well, switching to a visual approach from the localizer once we are visual, but like I say, I don't think we're going to have any problems with visual identifying the runway today. So we have scattered clouds at 2,500 feet, broken at 8,000. So probably once we get below 8,000 feet, that's really when I think we'll be able to see the runway possibly. 17 degrees at the moment, which is very nice, and the QNH has gone back to 1004. So the pressure is varying quite a lot. Like I say, it's gone from 1013 to 1009, now to 1014. Right, I generally think that we are a little bit high here, but according to our vertical profile, we're absolutely fine. Okay, so we'll take the plane down to 4,300 feet with the autopilot, at which point I should be visual, and then I'll take it out. Right, so altimeters go over to 1014, so that's the biometric reference set on that side, set there, and set there as well, and it's cross-checked. And with that, we can do the approach checklist. So, landing speeds, yep, they are set and already reviewed. We'll come in today at 148 plus 5, VRF plus 5. So that gives us a speed of 153, and the altimeters are set to the local pressure setting. So the approach checklist is complete. Good thing I did turn on my anti-icing. Reminds me, did I actually put the engines over continuous? I most certainly did. Speed's coming back nicely now. I'll have flaps 1. Slightly a bit high to do it at this stage, but I really want to try and make sure that we have good speed. I don't want to be coming in too fast. So I'll put a bit of the flaps out to give us a hand. Right, and we're getting off the vertical profile quite quickly here. Right, we'll go 230 knots, a level change. So MCP speed. We are far vertical profile here, quite drastically. I'll keep 240 knots. There we go, getting a bit of turbulence there already. About to approach 10,000 feet. Bring on the landing and the turn-offs. Okay, terrain, we need to consider now the height of the train is peaking at 10,000 feet. On some of the older 737s, what you could do is you had something called retractable landing lights, though in the belly, and they sort of come down. Quite a lot of planes have those. On these newer versions, they don't have them, and that was very helpful as well because it increased the aircraft sink rates. Okay, we can turn off our anti-icing. Quite drastically off our vertical profile here, but then she does appear to be getting it back. Right, so Dalaman should be over there, and it is. And just in case you are wondering, I have gone off that sim. There's nothing really happening. So I turned it off. We're disconnected from the network, I should say. Okay, now this is where my concerns are, because you see here at this point, it's be at 4,300 feet, so it's quite a rapid descent. This is also why I want to start trying to get the flaps out a bit more. So we can have flaps 2 for 250 knots, flaps 5 for 250 knots. Right, so we should be able to go flaps 5 then. But then obviously you see we'll get the indication there we're flying a little bit too fast for flaps 5, so we'll go flaps 2 instead. I'll tell you what I'll do to help us out a little bit. Go heading select, go 265. Carry seats for landing, carry seats for landing please. And we'll arm VOR lock. I'm not too sure if you need the second autopilot on for the for a localizer approach. I don't think so. There we go. Just say might engage. Yes, it does. Oh, no, it don't. Alright, well, we'll just leave the autopilot on left command alpha then. We're seriously coming way too quickly. I need to turn the speed back now. We'll look for 180 knots. Okay, so we have the VOR. Just about trying to get the airplane slowed down now. You know what, I'm actually going to use some speed brakes. I need to seriously start slowing this plane down. Then we are quite high at the end of the day. Yeah, we are. You know what I'm going to do? Go alt hold. I'm going to put it into a right bank. Just checking, make sure we've got enough. See if we can just do a 360. Yeah, I don't think that'd be a problem. Right, speed's coming back fine now. We'll look for 170 knots. At least this way it's got us back on profile. Right, we'll go flaps 10. I suppose it would have been a lot more helpful instead of putting me flaps out, I'd have kept the speed brakes out. Okay, we'll go level change. Now we should actually be able to keep VNAV on with the VOR lock, which is going to help us descend very nicely. Right, so 2,150. Go around altitude is 4,000. Right, we'll drop the gear. Look for flaps 15. Should start descending now. There we go. Right, I'll call flaps 30. Lights off, strobes on. Yep, all good. And the landing checklist. Landing gear down, 3 greens. Flaps 30 degrees green. Speed brakes. Armed. Landing lights on. Ground altitude 4,000 feet. Landing checklist complete. Right, so we'll look in the approach mode here. We'll keep descending. Now, I should have taken the autopilot off, I have said that, but I'm just going to leave it on just a bit longer. VNAV appears to be working very well here. Obviously VNAV takes control of the speed as well. Right, autopilot out, I have control. Keep the auto throttle in though. I'm so used to having a vertical diamond to follow, it's very strange when you don't have it. So I'm going to go full visual here. Wind's pushing me out towards the right a bit.
Approaching.
I've got the power.
Minimums.
Continue. Too high. Speed brakes up. First green. This wind's causing me a very big problem here. touchdown actually surprisingly late. So despite the planning with no, go manual braking. And why not, we'll get off here. Well, that was a bit of a bumpy landing. Right. It's off. Right, welcome to Dalaman. So, what stand are we going to be going to? I think it was actually 31. Oh, well, yeah, we'll go 32, why not? We'll use Havas, I'm not too sure jet to use here. Right, so... we don't need the flight directors, we'll turn those off. Start up the APU. Yep. Sounds a very interesting approach. I usually don't have a problem landing here, but then obviously we have the ILS when landing on runway 01. I need to drift high there. I had the wind to contend with as well. That was very tricky. I was also wondering why the reverses won't come out, because what tends to happen is touchdown and the airplane just seemed to get back airborne again. That very rarely happens with me. I've never had that before. Quite possible that I landed a little bit too smooth. Right, where's our stand? Right, that is Terminal 1, which is domestic. This is the international one. Say, Dalaman at this time of year doesn't tend to actually get quite a lot of flights in the winter. And I'll be surprised if Terminal 2 is even open at all. Well, actually, that's a lie. They do get like 1 or 2 international flights, but then, like I say, it's only about 1 or 2. It's a big airport, it's quite low numbers. Alright, we'll turn off our taxi lights and the weather radar can go off. So flight time today, 3 hours 41 minutes. Very good timing. That's 31A. Number 32. Okay, we don't have a marshal, we have a safe dock. A little bit more to the right. I oftentimes find that having the plane reflect, the plane's reflection in the windows in front of us can be extremely helpful. Cut the part. Oh, a little bit too far. Yeah, it'll be fine. Right, parking brakes on. Engines go to off. Fuel pumps, should be no centre tank fuel. So I'll leave one of them on for the APU. We'll bring the packs, do you know what, we'll leave the packs on. Turn off the probe heats. So we don't need it. Seatbelt signs got her off, and now we can turn off the anti-collision. So welcome to Dalaman. Right. Got a FS Actions, ground services, we'll request a GPU cart, like so, and I think we're also going to need some additional services. Potable water lavatory, yep, we are going to need some of them. And we also need to get the jetway on. I shall also open the cargo doors. Right, so a very warm welcome here to Dalaman. So I certainly hope you've enjoyed the flight with us today. Don't forget I'm going to be doing more of these types of videos in the future, hopefully with less crappier landings. And yeah, I may even do the return flight one day with this. Obviously, as much as I'd like to do a return, the day I'm actually recording this, there's actually quite a lot on, so I am actually going to need to skedaddle. But once again, everyone, I certainly hope you've enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing you. I seriously don't know what to say. I'm just getting flustered. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is I hope you enjoyed the video. There's more to come. And do not forget, if you are new to the channel, make sure you go down below to hit that subscribe button to never miss out on any flight sim related action that goes off on this channel. Of course, we have our Twitch channel, the Plane Guy 787. All the details will be down below for that, because a lot of these flights are actually streamed. So I do recommend you go watch that. Like I say, links are down in the description below. But for me, the Plane Guy, once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.